We have so much stuff to do tonight, so I don't want to take up any more time here. We have some wonderful interview guests. We've got Glynn Washington, we've got Boots Riley, we've got Adam Scott here, Santa Cruz's own. We're going to have some incredible music from the Mermen tonight, the greatest rock and roll band in Santa Cruz history. Yeah, fuck it, I said it, Camper Van Beethoven. Is Camper Van Beethoven in here tonight? I'll say it to your face. But before we get to all of that, our next guest is one of my favorite people in the entire world. He's a person who has an essential part of the Sound of Young America story. In addition to being a legendary podcaster himself, he used to be the editorial head of podcasting for Apple Podcasts. He was the person who essentially gave me my big break by featuring the Sound of Young America in Apple Podcasts now 20 years ago. He's also a brilliant stand-up comic. He has a hilarious show in San Francisco called Cheaper Than Therapy that if any of you are from that part of the Bay, I highly recommend you go see. Please welcome to the stage the hilarious Scott Simpson.
Thank you so much. One more time for Jesse Thorn. I can't believe he's been doing this show for over 25 years and he's been 35 the whole time. I'm not 35. I just turned 51 years old. And okay, thank you. I'll take that micro woo. That feels okay. I feel great about it. I love middle age. We love it being middle aged. We remember the 80s and the 90s. You remember the 90s? The 90s were fantastic, right? Old people. The 90s. Do you remember getting lost? Do you remember getting lost? Sorry, for the young folks here, I'll explain. Sometimes in the 1900s, we just didn't know where we were. Do you remember that, old people? Do you remember not knowing at least once per day? It was magic. Magic. It was the best excuse. You could be hours late for a meeting. Hours. And just show up and be like, I got lost. And the other person would be like, that checks out. Yeah. World is big. World is big. We got lost everywhere, right? I'm not just talking about the mountains or the desert. I got lost once in the middle of Manhattan. I had to ask a police officer where I was. He rolled down his window, went, "New York, idiot," and drove away. Do you remember Map, the thousands of year old technology we used to navigate? Sorry, for the young people, I'll explain. A map is a piece of paper that two people hold and scream at each other. That's it. That's all it was. It's like a rage-based Ouija board. Just no blue dot anywhere on a map. It was just a list of all the places you could be. Do you remember directions? Just approaching a stranger and just hoping that their competence would get you through? Like, I failed so many people. The coast of this Pacific, the side of the country is littered with the bones of Belgians and Koreans who I have sent in the wrong direction. My son is 20 years old, and he's grown up with the iPhone in his life, his whole life, right? He has no idea what life was like before the iPhone. The other day, he asked me, "Did you guys just carry flashlights around?" I was like, "No." He's like, "Then how did you get from the bedroom to the bathroom?" I was like, "We groped, right?" Do you remember the groping in the 20th century? The stubbing? Do you remember the stubbing? Oh, we stubbed. We knew where every piece of furniture was in the dark, and we didn't move it for 100 years. Because if you slide an ottoman 6 inches, you could murder a man. I love watching my son do stuff. It's so interesting. He watches everything. He turns the subtitles on, which I learned recently is, in general, younger people like to turn on the subtitles. And let me tell you, Gen Z, if you like subtitles, you're going to love books. It's all subtitle. It's all subtitle. There's no pictures getting in the way. Sorry, Gen Z, a book is it's like a long text message from a stranger. That's it. Jesse's been doing this for 25 years. My marriage is a little older than his. We just celebrated our 26th wedding anniversary. Thank you, I appreciate it. Queen bed, I should say. 26 and that's 40 in king years. That is a tight sleep. We just realized we're allowed to upgrade, so we went to the big boy. We got the big boy. Oh my God, it's amazing. I'm up in north bed. She's down in south bed. I hear she's doing great. We're supposed to meet up, but the public transit is a joke. One thing that I've learned, and I'll just share with you, and younger folks, you might appreciate the wisdom. In 26 years, I've learned you can't ever work anything out ever. That's been my experience. I don't know if that resonates with you or not. They say when you have an issue, you're supposed to bring it up, and then you resolve it. In my experience, you bring it up, that's it. It's up forever. Forever it's up. Once in 1999, she was driving, and I said, hey, maybe don't drive so close to the car in front of us. Guess what we talked about yesterday? It hibernated like a raged cicada, waiting for the moment when I was like, do you want to drive? And she was like, well, I don't know, can I? Do you ever get so angry your Apple Watch thinks you're working out? I love it though. I love being married. Some people say that it's a piece of paper. I love the paper. I love the contract. I love the formality. Everything else in our lives is so vague. Love, the word love, is so vague. It means so many things. I love my kids. I love my wife. I love my friends. I would give both of my kidneys to my kids. I would give one of my kidneys to my wife. I would give a helpful pamphlet about kidney donation to my friends. Isn't that a vague word? I love my wife. I also love long showers. That is a vague word. But I love being married because it's a specific thing, and you need it. You need it. You need it to get through sometimes. Like my wife and I, we have learned a lot. I've learned over time that you have to adjust, right? You have to adapt. You have to change. Sorry, I have to change. One thing that I've learned is that when my wife wants to tell me her problems or complain, I just listen. I don't offer suggestions or solutions. All the women are nodding at me like, correct. Okay. I didn't do it at first, right? She came home from work. She would be like, ugh, I hate working with Eric. Eric is such a jerk. And I'd be like, talk to your boss about Eric. And she was like, oh, sometimes I just want to tell you my problems and not have you offer solutions. So that's what I do now. It seems ineffective. It's a technique used nowhere else in the world. Like you never hear like, Tower, this is United 236. Our left engine's on fire. Okay, United, we cleared the runway. Come on back. Sometimes I just want to tell you my problems. So I've learned a lot. I appreciate getting out, though. It's so nice to be here with you guys in Santa Cruz. What a wonderful place. If I need to get out and I don't have a show, I'll run to my drugstore. I love my Walgreens. I love it. I'm so sad now about half the stuff at my Walgreens is locked down, right? Behind the security plastic. You have to press the doorbell and summon the keymaster. You can tell how good your neighborhood is by how much stuff is behind the glass. Right? There's a Walgreens near where I live. Everything is behind. It's not even a store. It's just a museum. Just a museum of Band-Aids. But I was in rural Ohio a few months ago. I walked into a CVS and nothing was behind glass. Everything was just out in the open. It was wonderful. I stole so much stuff. You can't go back in time, CVS. You can't suddenly start tempting me with that loose Visine. That's entrapment. All right, thank you. I did want to say one more thing before I go. Listen, I know out in the world is pretty rough right now. Things are pretty bad, and it's probably going to get worse. Okay, thank you very much. See you later. Bye-bye.
Scott Simpson. His show, again, is called Cheaper Than Therapy. You can see it once a week in downtown San Francisco. It's a great operation. Okay, my first guest tonight is a legendary storyteller, one of the greatest storytellers in the world. He is the co-creator and voice behind public radio's Snap Judgment. It's a narrative program about real, sometimes bizarre stories about things like a woman who brings bats back to life or the 300 people who spent a week on a plane with Rihanna. They were just named one of Time Magazine's 100 greatest podcasts of all time. I was named 101. I presume they didn't publish the 101st. Glynn also hosts the amazing podcast Spooked, which just concluded a spooky season tour. It's a show about the spooky and supernatural. Please welcome to the stage, Glynn Washington. Wrong chair, this chair. Come sit with your friend Jesse.
Got you.
How far away did you think I wanted you?
I did not know. How about this? I'll move this closer so you can hear me. How about that? Yeah. I'm a professional.
What's the weather like down there, Glenn?
Yeah.
I want to be clear. Glenn is sitting on a 2-inch off the ground chair.
Hello!
Because it was the only chair in this place. There was only one available chair. We gave it to Glenn. It's not a weird power move.
Okay. I'm putting this in the record.
Glenn, I'm so happy to have you here. I'm so happy to see you.
It's awesome to be here. Awesome to be in Santa Cruz.
I noticed backstage and now again on stage that you're not wearing anything embarrassing.
Those are stage clothes.
Where do you think we are, Glenn?
I don't know. So I have been known to wear maybe a loud jacket or two. But
okay, so the jacket that I saw, describe the jacket that you were just wearing for this tour, because I saw a picture of this.
It was bright and multicolored and awesome and cool. And how dare you question my jacket taste, because I've got good taste, Jesse. It's not odd. It's a very cool jacket. But
you're the first public radio host to have costumes by Bob Mackie. It was like knee-length red, white, and blue sequins.
When they say red, white, and blue, it wasn't that patriotic stuff. This wasn't a Kid Rock situation going on. This was a real. It was a cult of many colors. It was to evoke magic. The tour was about magic. The coat was magic, and Jesse, was magic. So how dare you question anything?
Are you a Santa Cruz visiting guy? You live in Oakland. Have you spent time down here?
I have. The sea lions come near here, and what's even more is Bigfoot is here. There's a Bigfoot museum that's nearby, and so yeah, I come by quite a bit to check on what the latest developments might be in the world of Bigfoot.
Last night was Halloween. I saw like 8 Bigfoots, 2 skeletons, and a minion having a drum circle.
Santa Cruz. No, I can't come down here for Halloween, but I love Santa Cruz. There's just, I think this wash of corporatism is like they used to pretend that Austin was still weird. It's not. Santa Cruz still is, and I love that they're holding on to this thing, this blowtorch, and I appreciate it.
I was talking the other day to a reporter from the Good Times Santa Cruz, and which is like local alternative newspaper. And he was asking me like, what about being at KZSC in Santa Cruz when you were younger, like made it special for you? Like, did someone teach you something special? And I was like, the honest truth is no one taught us anything other than like what to do when the emergency alert system broadcast goes off. But also like when we decided to have a long conversation with a whale sounds record, no one thought that was a problem.
Which is so awesome.
Right?
I mean, when do you... It's like experiment itself is dying, especially in our medium. And the idea that you have a station that's still going to allow that to go on, you don't get good stuff unless you mix it up a little bit. Right, and you're gonna get, and when you do that, you're gonna get really bad and really good. That's a decision you make, but you're not gonna get pablum. You're not gonna get just the bland stuff, and that's awesome. The same thing I would think about KALW in San Francisco. Because it's just like, yeah, I guess we're gonna do it. Let's just throw it at the wind. Let's just go ahead for it. I love that.
KALW has a show that airs Saturday nights, where listeners call in or say a trivia question, and then if someone gets it right, they ring like a hotel doorbell. And that's the whole show. I love that show. Shout out to Minds Over Matters, because that show rules.
It's great. It's great.
What is an example of a mistake that you were allowed to make on Snap Judgment when you were building Snap?
So, just a little bit of history. Snap started around the same time you were doing some stuff there, Jesse. But
yeah, I'd been around only for about 10 years at that point.
Yeah,
go ahead.
we were
both new to like going to public radio conferences, actually being on stations.
Yes, and I was very, very new to the world. So what happened with me was I won a contest to be to have a public radio show. And I was, so congratulations, you won the contest. What they didn't tell you was there wasn't a prize. There's no, like, in public media, every single station makes its own decision whether or not they're going to air your show. And so for me, they were like, so I call up, I wanted a distributor. The big distributor stuff. Number one, the biggest distributor is NPR. Call them up. No! The other one was the people who had Garrison Keillor. Call them up. No! The other one was This American Life. Hell no. But what happened...
It's weird that Ira talks like that. It's called code switching, as I understand it.
But I had watched this film on Don King. He was trying to get the Thriller and Manila fight going on. And he said he had Ali when he didn't. And he said he had the venue when he didn't. And he kind of worked it all together. So I called NPR and said, look, APM and PRI are really into it. I'm giving y'all a second chance just in case. And eventually they said, yeah. But which was ridiculous. So we were an NPR show. Ridiculous. We had no stations, no. And they said, we're not going to help you. Good luck to you. Which was to your question, was the greatest thing ever, because we got to make our own mistakes by ourselves when they weren't paying attention. And the crazy thing is, I think that I personally, I am the only beneficiary of Facebook.
Why is that?
Because it used to be cheap. And I would push it out on Facebook to people and say, you want to put it on your public radio station. Go tell your public radio people to do it. And they did. NPR guesstimated we'd have 10 stations at the end of year one. We had 100. Then they said we had maybe another 20 at the end of that. We had 200. That's when NPR paid attention to us. And thank God that first 2 years, we made every mistake was possible to make. Everything we could do, including one of the mistakes. So here's an inside situation. There is a special sound that you put on for emergency broadcasting that only goes on emergency broadcasting things. That's the only time it's supposed to do that.
Because it like triggers
all sorts of stuff.
Triggers automated stuff to happen.
All kinds of things. We use that sound as a sound effect. Whoopsie. Mistakes were made.
Glynn, there are 2 NPR stations in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Yes.
One of them is the most listened to public radio station in the country.
Right now.
The other one is the one that you started at.
Yeah.
That one I can tell you, as a former free lunch recipient in the San Francisco public school system, is the one that is best known for announcing what the free lunch is going to be that day in the San Francisco public school system.
And they're a really good station. Like we were saying before, I love them. I love them both.
You have to go into the hall of the high school to go to the bathroom at this station.
You do, and you have to sit in the small toilets when you go to do it. That's how it works. But they're a great station. Because it's so hard to do anything anymore. It's so hard to get anybody to say yes for anything. And for us, no, I'll tell you. Look, here's the story. Here's what happened. Here's the story for Snap Judgment. I'll say, we won the contest. Hooray! We want y'all to make a pilot. Cool. Make the pilot. And I don't know. I'm a nonprofit director. I don't know from radio. I don't know from media. I don't know from pilots. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. But we stay up. Me and my partner, Mark Wistage, we stay up and we work and we work and we work and we make the pilot. And I'm so proud of ourselves. I'm proud. And then we get the feedback the next. I hadn't slept in a week. I'm sticky. I'm nasty. I sleep. I go to bed. I wake up. Hear the good news on what they think about the pilot. And the quote, here's the quote. I still remember it. You have embarrassed NPR. You have embarrassed the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. You've embarrassed me, and you've embarrassed yourself. Click. That was my welcome to public media.
By the way, this is Cleisha the Folk Goddess.
But then what happened was I'm in a fetal position. I don't know. The guys are spoken, the arbiters are spoken. And then I took it to the person at KLW and said, what do you think? Is it like they said? It was Holly Kernan who said, yeah, Holly's like, nah, they're stupid as hell. You are not the best radio producer, but you're a really good storyteller. And you need to lean into that. And thank God, if it wasn't for Holly, if it wasn't for KLW having that thing, and it wasn't for that second chance, because I had no clue. I really had no clue. I didn't know anything about this world at all. And I will be exceedingly forever grateful that Holly was there to say they don't know what they're talking about.
I have a question about storytelling.
Yeah.
Every guy that works in advertising wants to tell you that at the end of the day, we're just cavemen telling stories and painting buffaloes on the wall and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We're all storytellers. We're all storytellers. We're all storytellers. When that person says that, I want to say, no, some people are artists and you work in advertising. Is there such a thing as too much storytelling? Are we at peak storytelling, Glynn Washington?
We are not. We are at actually we're at the lowest point of storytelling that's possible to be, because the wrong stories are winning. The stories that are being told right now, and it's crazy. I'm just going to tell it. I'm a Santa Cruz. I can say whatever I want. When my own mother...
It's not international waters, Glenn.
But it's our people just... When my own mother tells me that we need to lock these kids in cages for this and that, you didn't raise me that way. That was not the values I came up with. Someone told you a story, and that story is so powerful to you that you're telling me something that is completely antithetical to everything that I came up believing. And if that story was that powerful, we better get our story right. We better get our stories together. We better start telling stories that matter. And I get you on the advertising thing, because everybody, you're a storyteller, this is a storyteller, this is a story. But there's two parts of a story. At least I think there should be. I'm thrilled to be on basically every NPR station. And NPR is a smart station, so that's all great. But no one ever does anything because it's smart. They do stuff because you've hit not just their head, but their heart. And the only way you can do that is through story. How many people here have ever watched Crossfire? It's a show where two people battle it out intellectually on some bullshit. No one in the history of the universe has ever changed their mind after watching this go down. And ever, never, ever, no one's ever changed their mind. And they change their mind all the time after listening to a story from that's presented like, look, I don't know about whatever, but this is what happened to me. Those words put the dukes down. We are in a war for civilization right now. And the only way we can actually get inside someone else's head is through story. That's the only tool we have. That's the only thing we got. How do we talk to your grandparents, other people, whatever? The only thing you can do is story. So we better have a good one. We better have a good one. We better be able to do this right. And so I want to lean into it. I'm not trying to back away from it. I can't. This is the closest thing we have to telepathy. This is the only thing that allows us to get inside someone else's head. And the other side is doing the dark side, the Sith Lords are doing a far better job than the good people are. And we better figure it out quick.
What's a story that was on your show, whether it's Snap or Spooked recently, that you feel like you learned something from and changed your mind about something?
Let me think about that for a second. That I changed my mind about. One of the stories, we just recently told a story about mermaids, Hanyo. There are a group of women in Korea who can hold their breath for upwards of 15 minutes and dive and do their thing and get very rare sea life and bring it to the surface. And number one, I didn't believe that. But when
It sounds like you're describing dolphins.
right, yeah, it's crazy. I thought that's nonsense. That doesn't exist. And then you dive into the culture around it, and it was just amazing. The thing that always, like, I want to cry when we every single time we find another microculture that I didn't know anything about, and how it it elucidates the rest of the world. And this was one that just really hit me, because now these women are old, and they're like, should we be passing this down or not? Is what we do valuable enough so that we want to teach it to our daughters? And that struggle they had, I don't like, if I learned anything, I learned about that whole thing. Like, am I valuable? Do I have something to teach the next generation? One of the stories that happened recently was there's a snake pageant in Texas. Right, it's a snake pageant, and they got this whole community where they get snakes, and there's a and the women, like the girls.
Sorry, for the talent competition, someone's already doing biting. But
they have a beauty pageant part of it, and I think this is a joke. This is the craziest thing I've ever heard of. This is dead serious. These girls know that their place in this community hinges on how they do in this contest to be Miss Snake Queen. What? And the story just unfolds. It's just one of those things. You think you know this place? I think I know America. I do not.
Do you think that part of the reason you are so committed to the idea of translating the universality of the human experience through specific experiences and specific stories from specific people, that you yourself have such a one-of-one background? Like, for folks who have heard Snap probably learned at some point, but like, Glynn grew up in a rural apocalyptic Christian cult where a white rural apocalyptic Christian,
White supremacist.
Yeah. And like, there's no way to have lived that life as a young person and not place a value on like translating experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the thing of it was, so I grew up in an apocalyptic end of days white supremacist Jesus cult. And you're like, what? Right. And I was a true believer in, I mean, not the racism stuff necessarily, but a lot of their interpretation of the Bible and everything else. I was really into it. I wasn't like adjunct. I was in it. And in my late teens, when I was leaving it, I felt stupid. I felt tricked. I felt like my youth had been wasted. I was angry. And I also then at the same time realized what kept that organization together. When you say that Jesus is going to come next week and Jesus doesn't show up, what keeps you coming back to a room much like this? What happened? What do you do? What keeps us there? What keeps you there is story. And I thought, oh my God, story kept the collective story that we told each other made us go to those pews, made us give upwards of 40% of our incomes to these charlatans. That story did all of that. Boy, I wonder what else story could do. And I'm not sure that I made quite a bright line out of it, but story destroyed everything, every community I was in. And I thought, what it would be like to flip that power. Instead of using it for evil, what would it be like to use it for good?
Well, Glynn, thank you for closing with the lesson that we learned from our conversation this evening. From Snap Judgment, Glynn Washington. Thank you, Glynn. I'm going to do these 3 25th anniversary shows. I got to do one in LA where I live, one in New York, which was the first big station that ever picked up my show, and one in Santa Cruz where I started. And then I was I was trying to think of celebrities that I knew that could come to Santa Cruz. And I thought, well, Glynn Washington lives in Oakland and he's divorced. I bet if I got him a hotel room, he'd want to spend the weekend in Santa Cruz with me. So thank you, Glynn. Glynn, you're the reason this show ever happened. If you haven't heard Glenn's shows, they're all like that the whole time. It's amazing. I don't know how he sustains it. We're going to have our musical guest in just a second. First, I wanted to mention, so many years ago, we had one of the first membership drives in the history of my company, Maximum Fun. And the prize that we gave out was these posters. And I had these posters printed at this company that exclusively prints posters for fairs and circuses. And it works this way. They have 200 posters that they make. And then they hand set the type on those plates. So they have these plates that they've had for 50, 60 years. And then they hand set type on those plates and print them by hand. And we made these posters, one of those beloved things among our audience that we've ever made. People still tell me they have, I got one of those Sounding Young America posters up on my wall. So for this tour, I called Triangle Poster Printing in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. This is true, because it was mid-September, and they sell almost all their posters during the summer to fairs. They were out of certain designs at the time, but we found 4 beautiful ones that we have brought with us on this. Hopefully they're right side up. Yes, they're so beautiful. They're so pretty. They're so nice that you probably want one of each. And some nice folks from KZSC and our old pal Cash Hartzell from Jonah Radio on Maximum Fun are going to be back there in this room back here with those posters. They're only $20, cash or Venmo, and this is the honest truth. They are so heavy. I had to check a bag and I had to take posters out of it because 100 posters was more than 50 pounds. So please buy them because I cannot afford baggage overages again. But yeah, they're really beautiful. So go buy one during the intermission that's coming up in just a moment. We are so lucky to have this musical guest here tonight. To say they are the greatest rock and roll band in the history of Santa Cruz is not an overstatement. They actually are. They've been making music since the 1980s. Their debut record, Krill Slippin', is both a surf and psychedelic classic. Their most recent record was called Splendeurs et Misère. It is wonderful. They have worked with people like David Byrne, Jimmy Buffett, Dick Dale. I'm going to bring them on, but I just have to tell you about Dick Dale was one of the first people. Dick Dale is the king of the surf guitar, of course, was the king of the surf guitar. He is the first guest I remember having on The Sound of Young America when we started. We were living in the dorms together. My co-host, Jordan, with whom I still work on Jordan Jesse Go, my co-host, Jordan, knocked on my dorm room door, and he said, "Jesse, I just booked Dick Dale, the king of the surf guitar, on our show." And I was thrilled because we didn't know how to fill an hour. And we thought maybe he would talk for a while. But I was so thrilled because, he was on the Pulp Fiction soundtrack. It was such a big deal at the time, Dick Dale. And I said, "Jordan, how did you book Dick Dale?" And he's like, I went to dickdale.net. and there was a phone number at the bottom. And I called it, and Dick Dale answered. So if you're wondering how to get celebrities to come on your show, the answer is call the phone number at the bottom. I once called Lee Oscar harmonicas, and I was like, oh, I needed some harmonicas for a public radio show I was working on. I was like, we need these harmonicas. I don't know with whom I should speak, blah, blah, blah. And there's just a voice on the other line goes, well, you can speak to me. This is Lee Oscar. From the band War. Okay. Santa Cruz's greatest rock and roll band here to perform the song Splendor in the Grass. Please give it up for the Mermen.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. That was a thing.
The Mermen! Santa Cruz's own!
Just, that song was called Splendor in the Grass. If you ever saw that movie with Warren Beatty and Natalie Wood, or read the poem by Wordsworth, I saw it when I was 10 years old, and it affected my life. So talk about storytelling, and Elia Kazan, who directed that movie, he's an amazing storyteller. I know he got in a lot of trouble for giving names to that McCarthy guy, but he's quite a storyteller.
The Mermen!
Thank you.
The Mermen, not only nice enough to play our show tonight, but nice enough to cut the length of all their songs by 75% so that we could fit them into the show. Very, very grateful to have the Mermen here. We are going to take a quick break, go to the bar, have a drink, go buy a poster from those nice poster folks over here. We'll be back in 10 minutes. We'll see you soon. Welcome back, guys. Did everybody get hammered in the break? I hope so. I hope so. Our next guest is one of my favorite artistic forces in the world. He's somebody that I met first when I was a student at UC Santa Cruz. We passed like a student resolution for like extra funding for the college radio station. And it had passed, thank goodness. I think KZSC still relying upon it. And so we decided to put on some concerts, and his group was one of the concerts that we brought in. He, of course, is the founder and leader of the hip-hop group The Coup, one of the greatest hip-hop groups in hip-hop history as far as I'm concerned. I actually, when I was living, this is true, when I was living in Santa Cruz in the Beach Flats, I at the time was driving a 1982 Chevrolet El Camino. Hold for applause. And it was pretty badass. It has like a little area behind the seats that's not big enough to sit in, but you can put a subwoofer there. And I was driving in the Beach Flats one night, and I was listening to The Coup with my windows rolled down, and I heard the telltale whoop whoop behind me. I pulled over. A cop walked up to the window and said, "Sir, I'm sure you know why I'm pulling you over." And I said, "I actually don't, sorry, apologies." And he said, "Well, your stereo is too loud." He gave me a ticket for like $300, which I was just about to graduate from college. So I didn't have $300, A, and B, I was about to move back in with my mother, where I would continue to not have $300 for quite some time, especially once I started pursuing a career in public radio. And I had to borrow my mom's car at one point to drive to Santa Cruz to try and get them to reduce it from $300 to $80. I spent an entire day trying to get them to reduce it, and they did, God bless them. And I just, like, it was not until I was at the courthouse thinking about what I had been listening to when the cop pulled me over that I realized it was a song called Pork and Beef. And Richard, you pulled a little bit of the song, right? Can we play the part that was playing when I got pulled over? So if you missed that, that's, if you got beef with the COPs, throw a Molotov at the PIGs. Because they be harassing you and me. You got to understand that we're still not free. And as I realized what I had been listening to, I thought to myself, is that why I got a ticket? Because I was listening to that song? Because I was like still listening to it when he came to talk to me. Like, I didn't even, and I was like, was it because he noticed that I was listening to that song that he gave me the ticket instead of just telling me to scoot or whatever? And then I realized, no, it's because he didn't notice that I was listening to that song that I didn't get arrested. That was what happened. Anyway, since his days in the Coup, though he remains in the Coup's still a going operation, he's become an incredible writer and director. He made the spectacular 2018 film Sorry to Bother You, which, if sounds like a lot of folks here have seen it, is one of the most unbelievable comedy, horror, sci-fi, phantasmical nightmare delights that's ever been committed to film. He followed that up with a wonderful TV show for Prime called I'm a Virgo. And he has a brand new film coming out in the spring. Please welcome to the stage, Boots Riley.
I brought my own mic. What's up?
Do you want to pick one or?
Yeah, this is just for the stereo. Just to keep it.
Welcome back to the show, Boots. I'm always so happy to see you. It's so nice to see you.
Yeah, no, it's good seeing you. And also you didn't. I know your mom.
Yeah, that's true.
You know that could be a diss sometimes. I know your mom. But I do know your mom.
My mom always says, so my mom was a junior college professor. She just recently retired. And, she was fired, and then the union got her unfired, and then she retired. But my mom was a junior college professor at Santa Rosa Junior College. Drove from San Francisco to Santa Rosa. Not an applause line I expected. There's some cows in the audience tonight. There were also firefighters that went there. But my mom taught at Santa Rosa Junior College, would drive from San Francisco, where I grew up, from in the Mission, to Santa Rosa 3 days a week to teach. It's like a 2-hour drive each way. And at one point, like, her greatest triumph of her career was when she got control of the arts and lectures budget. Like, this was the most thrilling thing in the world to her, because my mom knows some real genius weirdos, the likes of which they had never seen at Santa Rosa Junior College. And she used to bring you up.
Yeah.
Like, she could, like, write you a check for $500 and bring you up for the day.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of those checks, since you did get pulled over by the police, and so I'm you guys are supposed to be paying for my hotel or something like that. I'm gonna donate all of that, and then also I owe KZSU $1,000 from like the year 2000.
So let me tell you what you're overstating it. I mean, I'm not trying to cost them $500. Here's what happened.
Okay.
So when we booked Boots to play this concert for KZSC 20 whatever years ago,
yeah,
we had the bursar's office write a check. The check was for, supposed to be for $3,700 or something. You guys brought the band, everything happened, right? Everybody's coming down.
Don't say our quotes on.
Okay.
Yeah.
$37,000. It was for, but the point is, it ended in 700. That was the quote ended in 700. But the bursar's office, no, the quote ended in 200. Okay, let me start this over for the radio. So when you came and played a show at KZSC when I was in college, the station requested a check from the bursar's office. It ended in 200. The amount you were supposed to get paid ended in 200. Let's say it was like $5,200 or something like that. But the bursar's office misread the form and thought it said $700 at the end and cut a check for $2,700.
They paid me too much, but being an artist trying to make it happen as I was and am, as soon as that check went into my bank account, it just filled up some of the negative space.
Yeah.
And so you and everybody, hey, where's our money? And I was like, dude, I don't have it.
I want to clarify. When you say me and everybody, we're specifically talking about my mom, who found out about this.
Yeah.
She found out about this, and she was so mad at a person she calls your friend the Bootster.
Yeah.
Which is what my mom calls you, Boots. And she was mad about it for many years thereafter.
Oh, she did. She played it off very nicely, but yeah. And so you know that amount is what even though that's from the year 2000, we're not going to pay any interest on it or anything like that. But I want to make good on that. To KZSC.
Let's hear it for Boots Riley.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Did you think after you made your first film, a totally bonkers film, that you would get to make more films?
You know, I don't always think that far ahead, right? Like everything I do, I think of it as my last thing, right? Because otherwise you start making these compromises. You know, I hope this money person likes me. I hope that this or that, and then you don't do the things you want to do. And so I totally thought I wasn't going to be able to make another film. I thought I had no idea that I was going to make that one, you know, but I knew that I needed to try to make it happen. And I lied to people in telling them that it was going to happen. And I just kept lying until people kept jumping on board. So.
I mean, what's amazing about Sorry to Bother You as a first film is not just that you're like, you know, it's not like you were a 27-year-old guy that went to NYU Film School or USC. It's not even like you were a guy who had spent your career directing music videos or television commercials. Yeah. Like you had directed videos
I was at SF State for film school when we got a record deal. And I think I'm still a junior. and I thought that, okay, well, someone's offering me money to do music, I'll do that, but I'll just tell stories, you know, in that. So that's why we have a few very, very long songs.
And some of the Boots, like, I mean this very sincerely, some of the greatest story songs in hip hop history, Me and Jesus the Pimp and Fat Cat's Big a Fish, and some of the truly the best narratives ever put on a hip hop record.
Thank you. And you know, and when I can say thank you, not because I think it's genius, but I just put a lot of work into those songs. Like Me and Jesus the Pimp in the 79 Granada Last Night probably took me 8 months to write. So I don't think of it as like, oh, I'm just really good. I just keep trying. And, you know, so I co-directed the video for that. I'd done like a documentary. But what I did learn, so to speak to that, is through doing music and everything, I kind of learned that, you know, everybody's just figuring shit out. You know, we're all figuring it out. And so, you know, I think had I finished film school and made a movie back then, it would have been very different because you're taught all of this stuff about the authority of who knows how to do this thing better than you, or, you know, and there's a lot of insecurity passed on. And I think, yeah, I was able to bullshit with the best of them and just be like, no, this is going to be the great thing right here. Right.
Were you aware when you were earlier in your hip hop career that the method that you used for writing was not the one everybody used? Like most, not all, but most rappers, especially then, wrote their verses. But like in a lot of ways, you were a writer first. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely saw that there were different people, you know, like Tupac would go in the studio and have like 6 songs in a couple hours, from scratch. But there were some people that really thought about how how their lyrics came out and put a lot of time into it. So I think there are a few schools of that, and I knew what school I wanted to be in. And to a certain extent, that has been a burden, because when you're doing that, you're thinking about posterity. Right? You're thinking about, okay, I'm not going to do a volume of things. I'm going to do this smaller number, but really well. And, and so you have less iterations, and you hope that those things last longer. Whereas someone else might just be like, I'm not going to spend more than 10 minutes on this because I'm trying to have it out there. I'm trying to move on to the next thing. And that's something very valuable too. That's like being there in the moment and in conversation with the audience. But yeah, I've always been the person it's been about crafting it.
I watched this documentary for the show that Ice-T directed about rap. Mm-hmm. And he flew, and it was about rapping specifically. It wasn't about hip hop generally. It was specifically about rapping. And he flew around the country, talking to various rappers about how they write. And there's this scene where sticks so vividly in my mind, where Rakim, a guy who, has as much claim as anyone to being the greatest rapper of all time, shows his notebook and shows the rhythmic notation that he invented for himself in order to record the meter of the rhymes as he is writing them. And then also, I once watched a documentary about another guy who could make a reasonable claim of being one of the greatest rappers of all time, Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne is just bonkers off lean all the time and just wanders up to a microphone, says 12 different things, moves a piece around, and has something incredible.
Yeah, but I would also say, that someone like him, they're thinking, they're writing all the time. They're writing, it's not necessarily on paper.
Well, it's like a guitar solo. Some people might write an incredible guitar solo. Some people improvise an incredible guitar solo. They're both incredible in different ways.
You're living your life, and you're thinking about things in the world, and you're thinking about lyrics, things fitting into lyrics, so that by the time you walk up to the mic, it's a little bit of improv, and it's a little bit of, just things you wanted to get off your chest.
I want to put this picture up on the screen. This is this legendary totemic picture in Bay Area hip hop. This is a picture of you as a 21-year-old or something like that, 22-year-old, with E40 in the middle and Tupac Shakur on the other end. This is on the video set of an E40 record called Practice Looking Hard that had a chorus that was sampled from one of your songs.
Yeah, from Not Yet Free.
First of all, did you get a call from 40 first? I got a record.
The crazy thing is, so there used to be a station in Oakland called Soul Beat, and it was for instance, on Saturdays there was a show that happened all day called Hip Hop Slam, Billy Jam's Hip Hop Slam, and everybody was watching it, and it was 4 or 5 hours. It'd just be on, because you couldn't, for the young people that you said aren't listening.
I said they weren't here. They might be listening at home. Yeah. There's a few young people.
You couldn't just see whatever video you wanted at any time. So Soul Beat was the big thing.
Also, can I clarify? I'm a young person, just so you know. I'm a millennial.
So Soul Beat Day, we had the Click and the Coup both tied for Soul Beat Day. So we perform at the same time.
And the Click was E40's group with his...
E40 with his brother, his sister, his cousin.
Right, Be Legit and so on.
Be Legit is his cousin, his sister is Sugar T, his brother is D-Shot. And so they had a group together. And we do this Soul Beat thing, and and it's weird, because I apologize to 40 for this now, but he didn't remember it. And, we were both performing and all this, about to perform. It was a show that went on all day, live broadcast on Soul Beat, a big thing for both of us. And it came down to like a coin flip because it had gone too long of who could perform, either the Coup or the Click. And it passed my mind, it went through my mind to be like, and we won the coin toss. It went through my mind to be like, you know what? Let's both do this. But I didn't. The Coup performed. And that would have been a better thing. But anyway, from that night, he was like, "Oh, I want to do something with your thing." So we knew each other from around. Sorry, long. So we knew each other from around, doing shows, promoting our music.
But for folks who don't, know the aesthetics of hip hop backwards and forwards, like, granted, this was at a time when hip hop was a smaller world and a world where there was immense value in being different from everybody else, like culturally. But that said, like, while you're from just down the freeway from each other, with E40 being from Richmond and
from Vallejo.
Excuse me, thank you. I'm gonna retake that. It's because my mom just moved to Richmond, is why I accidentally said that. But while you're just down the freeway from each other, with the Click being from Vallejo and you guys being from Oakland, like, and you are both, headed to major label record careers, like, stylistically as rappers couldn't be more different. Subject matter couldn't be more different. I mean, you were rapping about revolutionary politics, street level, like personal revolutionary politics, but revolutionary politics. He was making mob music at the time. Like, really different worlds for guys that were 15 miles away from each other.
And it's interesting because I didn't think of it that way. When I hear stuff that people think of as quote unquote gangster or something like that, what it always is people trying to have control of the world around them. And so often when I would meet people that are making music like that, they'd be like, "Oh, we're doing the same thing. We're dropping that science." Like when Master P wrote a song about how to make crack cocaine, he was doing it because he thought it would help people get a better life, right? And come on, I mean, it did help some people.
Worked out for Master P.
And I think that humanity is always trying to do that. They have a sense of community. They want, and so I read those songs in different ways. And I might disagree with certain things. People believe certain things, and I don't. However, the basis of it is wanting them and their community to have some say-so over the world around them. And I just have a different analysis of what will get us that. So, and so I didn't necessarily see it as different. And often I would spend time trying to get people involved in things.
I mean, the thing that is special to people about this photograph in particular is not just that this is three legendary rappers, though, in my opinion, three legendary rappers. It's not even just that it's three legendary rappers with very different styles or subject matter, for that matter. I think it's because in some way it reflects a world of hip hop within the Bay Area that has always put community first, whether it is in explicit revolutionary terms, whether it is in the sense of Master P, who sort of came of age in the Bay Area, although he didn't become famous in the Bay Area, learning the independent record business in the Bay Area. Like, it is about...
Yeah, me, E40, and Master P had the same manager, just so you know, Chaz Hayes.
I mean, like, it is in some ways like a Bay Area idea, even though Tupac by this time living and working in Los Angeles. but it is this Bay Area idea of like you can do it yourself and do it in community.
Yeah, definitely. And the do it yourself part, I think, is I think that like you said, that was the connecting thing. We weren't waiting for someone to and to be honest, we were on Wild Pitch, which to us felt like a major label. It was out of New York, but we didn't wait for somebody to come and anoint people. We made our music, got it to people, rode around, handed people tapes, got them, tried to talk them into playing it loud for us, and went and did that. It's something that I think almost every art form that's burgeoning needs. We need that in the film world. We need that, in everything, because it's the artist having a connection to their community. Like right now, people that are hoping to get, to get on some playlist or get the radio show to play them. I mean, the major radio show to play them. They don't even know how to get to the people that might listen to their music. They don't know them. They're not connected in that way. So there is something about that photograph that had to do with a period where a lot more people understood that about having their art connect to people.
I mean, to use a word that like my mother would be thrilled to hear me use on public radio, hip hop is counter-hegemonic in that so much of hip hop is about this is who I am and where I am from, which is to say, this is me asserting my identity and asserting my community in a world where the prevailing power runs against those things, wants to tell me who I am and is not interested in where I'm from. Like, I think a lot about, it's like it's a really straightforward record in a lot of ways, but there's this record called FDT, and the DT stands for Donald Trump. And it's two LA rappers, the late Nipsey Hussle and YG. And Nipsey has a line in there where he says, I'm coming from a place where you probably can't go, and I'm speaking for some people that you probably don't know. And, there's so many things you could say as a rapper to Donald Trump, right? But it's not just the idea that he's there to like represent people. It's that he's like there to make people visible, including himself.
And I think here's the thing is that because of for the last bunch of decades, and I think it's changing now, because of a lack of an accessible, radical movement that people could see changing material circumstances, people don't only want to be seen. They want that visibility to, and I think this is understood by especially the rappers you're talking about, they want that visibility to equate to power, to equate to justice in some way.
I mean, you said, like, the word I would use to describe what you were talking about earlier is agency, like to have one's own way of affecting the world.
And that is, I think that there's some onus on the kinds of movements we made up until now. And I will say that it's been changing recently, but we had a lot of what we thought of as radical movements that were based on spectacle, that were like, we're here, we want to be seen, we disagree with this, we want this other thing. And we had left behind class struggle. We had left behind actually shutting down the gears, shutting down the machinery of capitalism in order to, and that's the thing that could gain power, is for us to use our place in this system as a way to stop profit and demand changes that we want. And so what you see happening because of lack of that, then people are like, okay, I'm rapping about a group of people that you don't know, and what we then have to do is figure out how to plug into this economy in a way that gives us power. And with lack of a radical analysis that tells you that we have to change the economic system, then that just means more capitalism, and you're going to get in where you fit in, and so that's going to be the underground economy. And so to me, all of those things, my music was always saying the same thing that all of these other folks were saying, but I was trying to show that the way to do it is for us to create a mass, radical, militant labor movement that could withhold labor as a strategy and tactic to build a radical movement. Just to finish the long sentence, one that creates a world in which the people democratically control the wealth that we create with our labor. Easy to get claps in Santa Cruz with that. I was just waiting. That was supposed to be last.
I struggled at the beginning of the segment to describe the qualities of your film and TV show, because just like your rapping is like revolutionary, but also so humane, so much about people and their lives, including your own, in a way that revolutionary hip hop isn't always. Sometimes it's just about saying revolution a lot because it's fun and exciting, which it can be and is not without merit, but like you're really focused on human beings in that struggle.
And that's largely because I actually came out of a movement, came out of a disciplined party, and was involved in campaigns that in which we tried to get people to get involved in these things. Then you start understanding what makes people move. So some of my first involvement in any political movement was in Watsonville, California. Helping with the organization of the cannery workers strike in the 80s. And then farm workers, all that. So what you realize is that what gets people wanting to do something is optimism. And the reason why people want to do something, the reason why I want people to get involved in a movement has to do with the basic thing of the basic humanity of like wanting people to be able to be engaged and not isolated. Wanting there to be, there's so much about music, film, and a radical movement that has to do with fighting loneliness, right? It has to do with people working together to make their world. And so I try to put that optimism and that humanity into the film, not only because I think those things, but also I think that makes it more realistic.
Well, your first film is a film that is partly about sales. In addition to organizing, you had a bunch of sales jobs as a young person.
Yeah.
And like on the one hand, yes, sales, ultimate expression of capitalism, possibly. I mean, I guess the ultimate expression of capitalism is capital exploiting labor, but. Yeah. The ultimate, it's like the thing that you associate most with capitalism is sales, right? But if you're a successful organizer or a successful salesperson, the thing that ties those together is the realization that you are not there to convince someone of something. You are not there to tell someone about something. You are there to find out what someone needs and try and figure out how to get it to them.
Yeah, it's very manipulative. And I learned. I was the kid that when I was 11, the teenager comes in the white van and picks a bunch of you up and takes you to some suburban neighborhood, and you sell subscriptions door to door. And quickly, I learned to figure out what someone was really saying when they said no. Like, what was the reason? What was the, and you start figuring that out. So when I started organizing at the age of 14 and 15, I kind of took some of that with me and saw that people were using different, vocabularies and different ways of, and different talking over each other. And so I really started thinking about talking from a place of connection and moving from there. And so, a lot of it for me is mixed up and, all over the place. I did sales, door-to-door sales. I did telephone sales. We used to throw parties, and you had to have a dress code to get in. Like I had my life is not just one direct line in this way. It zigzagged all over the place into very crazy things.
Your new movie, which is coming out in the spring, is about the underground economy.
Yeah. So the new movie comes out May 22nd. It takes place in the world of professional shoplifting. It's called I Love Boosters. And it's Keke Palmer, Demi Moore, Naomi Aki, Taylor Page, Don Cheadle, Lakeith Stanfield, Will Poulter, Asa Gonzalez.
And this is the world of folks who, I had a buddy who was in a street gang in New York in the 80s called the Decepts. And he was like, yeah, what we would do is we would take the train from our house downtown into Manhattan, go to Macy's, and we would all together just clear off shelves and leave. And there wasn't really anything they could do about that. Like, they didn't shoot anybody or hurt anybody or anything. They just clear off shelves, and then they take it back home, and that's what got sold in a barbershop or what got sold in the neighborhood, right? That was the economy.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually part of the economy that allows it to keep going as it is because, everything costs so much, and this is just a way for people to be able to afford it. And so, like my other films, it maybe starts in that world, but there is more to it.
Are there any enormous horseman penises in this one?
I can't confirm or deny.
Boots Riley.
All right. Thank you.
His new movie, I Love Boosters, is set to be released on May 22nd.
Peace. Yo.
For those of you who live in the Bay Area as well, Boots' work will also be the subject of a museum exhibition, the first one at a brand new museum called Art and Water. It is set to launch in the spring in San Francisco. His work across media. Man, what do I talk about? Boots Riley, that's fucking great. Plus, he's giving that $500. You hear that, KZSC? We got to hold him to it this time. Okay.
It was $1,000, not $500.
Okay, Tiffany Harmon. All right, let's bring back onto the stage Santa Cruz's greatest rock and roll band, here to perform their song The Whales from their record Krill Slippin', the Mermen.
None there. Thank you so much.
Okay, special thanks to that guy.
So these whales that Jennifer has here in her, give us some whales, Jen. I think this is the whale record he was talking about of so long ago. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you guys so much. The Mermen! You can find the Mermen online at mermen.net, where you can find their music and their merch. They've also got a new record that they're working on right now, so be on the lookout. All right, folks, we have one last guest on this evening's show. You've seen him on Parks and Rec. You've seen him on Party Down. You've seen him on Big Little Lies. You've seen him on the television program Severance. You've seen him in the motorcycle racing movie Torque. Did you know he is also a Santa Cruzian who was once a professional taffy puller at the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk? Please welcome to the stage, Adam Scott.
Well, thanks a lot, Jesse. I guess I won't play the 10 minutes of whale sounds I had planned.
I thought it was nice of the Mermen to incorporate the space whale into that song.
100%.
It's nice to see you, Adam. Thank
By
you
the
for
way,
coming on the show.
let's give it up for the Mermen. They were
Incredible, right?
fantastic.
Glynn Washington was backstage going, "Oh, this is on my Spotify playlist now."
That's
he was
right.
so into it. He was so
That's right.
pumped. Thank you for making the trip to Santa Cruz. How many family members do you have in the room and in Santa Cruz these days?
In the room, there are 6. My dad, my stepmom, my brother, my sister-in-law, my niece, and my wife, and they're all here. There they are. There they are. Don't ask me to name them.
Santa Cruz strikes me as kind of a perfect place to grow up.
Idyllic.
Like maybe there is a point as a teenager when you are done with it, but like as a 12-year-old, I can't imagine a better place to live.
Yeah, as a 12-year-old, it was perfect, particularly in the 80s, because I grew up at a time where when I was 12 and it was summer, both Back to the Future and The Goonies came out. And I could just go see them as many times as I wanted. And yeah, it really was. And you could walk around and ride your bike around town, and everything was safe. And I would imagine it's still safe in Santa Cruz. I mean, it's just it really is a beautiful place. No? Oh, okay.
No, they're hissing safety.
Safety, right?
Were you a Were you a beach person? Are you a beach person?
No, and you know the thing about the thing about being,
seashells.
That's right. Being a kid growing up in Santa Cruz and then being done with it by the time you're like 18. Not done with it, but it's a small town. The thing about Santa Cruz is that the surfers, at least in my school, the surfers were like the football players. And I could never really wrap my head around surfing. And so I never figured it out. But those were like socially, those were the guys that had the most power. I don't know how you would describe it.
Did you try it?
No. I guess what when you were in Santa Cruz for 4 years?
Yeah.
And you would go to the beach
6 times.
Okay. What would you do? Would you like go out and go body surfing? Would you go boogie boarding?
Sorry, I'm waiting for you to say read a book.
Would you go get on a boogie board and start reading?
It's too cold in the water.
The water is cold.
Yeah.
But no, I went through like a phase of skimboarding. I got really into skimboarding.
What's skimboarding?
Skimboarding is, it's funny you should ask.
Somebody said, "Oh no, it's gonna be fine, ma'am. I'll learn what it is. We'll make it through this together."
Have you really not ever
No, I don't
heard
know
of
what skimboarding is.
I don't. It's it's like surfing for people that are afraid of the ocean.
Tell me more.
The water splashes in from waves coming from the ocean, and then once the water starts to leave, there's this thin film of water still kind of on the sand. You throw your board, and it floats across that thin coating of water, and then you jump on that, and you kind of ride that for a while. You never engage with more than like 14 inches of water.
One time I was interviewing a famous astrophysicist. I won't say which one, but it wasn't Stephen Hawking. And I said to him that sometimes when I go to the ocean and I look out at the ocean, I get uncomfortable thinking about it stretching out until forever. Like it gives me an existential crisis.
It doesn't stretch out forever.
So I understand that intellectually.
Yeah.
What are you, this lady?
I know. Oh no.
So I said to Neil deGrasse Tyson or whatever astrophysicist it was that I was talking to.
By the way, other than Stephen Hawking and Neil deGrasse Tyson. Sorry?
Associate Professor Henry Newman.
Associate
Newman. That's who
producer
it
Professor
was.
Henry Newman. Yeah, sure. Anyway, I said, do you ever feel that way about space? And whatever astrophysicist this was, it was Neil deGrasse Tyson, just picked on me. He's like, no, why would you feel that way? And I'm like, it's okay to be scared of the ocean.
Yeah. Or space.
Yeah. Did you ever get beat up by a surfer?
No. But I will. I beat up so many surfers myself. They were all afraid of me.
I didn't know anything about surfing when I came to Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
And I was the news director of KZSC. And one of the guys on the news team, we had to do one reported news piece a quarter. Very high level work we were doing. One reported news week a quarter. And he was a surfer guy. Very handsome, like classic.
A surfer guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his piece that he went and reported and interviewed people about and everything was about how if you're a surfer and you surf wrong, other surfers kick the crap out of you and hold you underwater. And I was like, what?
Well, I remember hearing those stories too. Like if you go to a certain place and you get in the way of the surfers trying to get a good wave or something, you could get punched in the face or something. But I never heard about actual drowning, like holding people underwater. But listen, I'm not going to disagree with your friend's story.
I have sources.
But I just have to say that it's hard to believe that the news director of KZSC was not a big-time surfer.
I know. I know. I mean, to this day, I'm a very poor journalist. When I signed up with NPR, they're like, here's our journalistic ethics handbook. I'm like, uh-oh, I'm a journalist?
You are a journalist.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you get to a point where you were like too punk rock or too something to be a Santa Cruz guy anymore, to live in a small town?
No, I immediately missed living in Santa Cruz when I left Santa Cruz. It's a really, again, a idyllic place to grow up. And then after you leave and go, I moved to Los Angeles, which is a big city, and you're constantly sort of trying to find the pocket of whatever city you're in that reminds you of Santa Cruz, or at least for me, reminds you of the feeling you get when you're in this particular town. At least I always am. I'm always kind of chasing that feeling, because not just because it's my home, but there is where I grew up, there is a special feeling in this town. It really is unlike anywhere else, and I do miss it.
There was a guy at the radio station when I was there whose name was Phineas, who was not a UCSC student. I think he was a...
Some Phineas fans.
Yeah. You go anywhere in Santa Cruz, you're gonna meet somebody who's gonna woo when they hear the name Phineas.
Sure. Did you read the Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers when you were a
No.
kid? No? You've never heard of it?
I've heard of that, but I don't know what it is.
Okay, well, one of the characters was named Phineas. Please keep going with what you were talking about.
There was this guy named Phineas who was a student, I think, at Cabrillo, and I don't think he even had a show on KZSC, but he would hang out on our broken sofa, white guy with dreadlocks.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's sort of taken as read, but... And he would sit there and he would eat almond butter out of like a yogurt container with a spoon that he got because it was left over at his job at the food bin. And then he would tell me about toxins. And he was the nicest guy. And like when I knew him,
yeah,
I thought, this man embarrasses me. Like, this is too much.
Sure.
This is so Santa Cruz, roll eyes, et cetera,
sure.
et cetera.
Sure.
And when I moved to Los Angeles, I found myself like sincerely longing for that level of like sincere commitment to one's ideals. And like, I was like, man, I miss when Phineas would be eating that almond butter with a spoon.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want to add anything to the burden of the environment or whatever it was.
Right.
Like, what a sweet, wonderful thing that he was doing, eating that almond butter.
Yeah, and I feel like also a lot of the sort of idealism that I hope to continue and carry on and hopefully pass along to my kids, a lot of political idealism, no matter how kind of worn down you get, kind of getting older and, you know, things getting crazier and worse kind of socially and politically, at least in the United States. I feel like a lot of that still is kind of protected, and it came from my parents, but also this town and being raised in this place. And it's still there.
What were the specific things that you missed about Santa Cruz when you left?
Well, I think that there's an ocean that's right off the coast. It's far prettier than, I mean, it really is the most kind of beautiful coastline that I've seen. What about you? What did you miss when you left?
I love the weather. I think the weather's the best weather in the world.
Right, because it never gets boiling hot. I mean, maybe like 2 days a year.
Yeah, I describe it as wet Oakland, which is like my perfect. And it gets nice and cold in the winter, too.
Yeah,
and it's warm. It's warm, but not unpleasantly hot in the summer.
Right.
But I think other than that, it was that like all these things that for me as a very young adult were embarrassing about the like drum circles and all these things that we made jokes about, you know. I'm about to, you know that I'm about to say I like it now. I still think it sucks. But I find it like really reassuring now.
Yeah.
You know? Because it feels trustworthy in a way.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah. No, but it also, it feels like a place that has not been sort of corrupted and ruined. It feels like little by little places are sort of, you know, getting spoiled, but not Santa Cruz. No? Okay. Boo! Santa Cruz sucks now! Shut up!
legendary local legend Adam Scott.
I don't know what that means, but I trust you.
It means that there's a Five Guys where Taqueria Vallarta used to be.
Oh yeah, but that was happening when I was, 7 years old. Whenever something like that would happen, it would people would get upset and stuff, and that just happens. I don't think there's any stopping that sort of thing, right?
Yeah. Is there, speaking of sincerity, is there a special burden involved in your road to your current celebrity, running through Parks and Recreation, the sweetest and loveliest of funny television shows, and playing a sweet, sincere character on that show? Like, does that create the expectation that you have to be sweet and sincere in your life all the time?
I don't know, but I know that whenever people that enjoy Parks and Recreation come up to talk to me, they're always like you said, the sweetest, kindest, and really smart, engaged people, and always a pleasure to talk to. And I think that there is a part of me that is like that character. I think I'm, not quite as sincere and warm and fuzzy. I don't know, but I feel like the character is sort of a mix of Mike Schur, who created the show, and me, and then this other thing that he was reaching for and I was reaching for, and it was kind of this amalgam of all of those things. So I think there is a lot of me in that character. But and I love that show, and I love the people that loved that show. So I'm never feeling like I have to put on airs or anything like that.
Were you worried that you were going to have the sitcom actor's life, that when you spend that much time on people's screens, that you are that sitcom character forever?
When it started, I was like, if I'm typecast, like you're saying, like that's fine. I just wanted a job, and I needed a steady job, and wanted to be on a TV show. I had never really been on one for a long, and so I was like, fine, that's fine with me. And then once it ended, I did have a tough time trying to kind of get out of comedy, or get out of, that sort of brand of sitcom. It wasn't easy to sort of try and redefine myself a little bit.
Had you, before you got Parks and Recreation, foolishly wasted the money that you got from the movie Torque?
That's right. How did I foolishly waste it? Is that what you're asking?
I was asking if that's why you needed a sitcom
That's
job.
Right. That's right.
When you, was Severance an audition or an offer?
It was I auditioned for it. Yeah.
What did you think of it when you read it first?
I thought it was great, and my first, and I'm being dead honest, the first thing I thought when I read it was, there is no way I'm going to get this job. This is way too good, and I can't get too excited about this. I need to, kind of pull my enthusiasm back as far as possible, and just get used to the fact that I'm probably not going to get to do this. But if I do, if I am able to get to a point where I'm kind of teed up, or I have the opportunity to reach and try and get this, it'll be that I've been earning this whole 30 years, earning the chance to get to a place where I could possibly get a role like this, or on a show like this.
Were you worried that you were not the right person or not good enough?
Always. But I just, I think also if it's a situation where I'm auditioning, which is eventually what had to happen with that, is that I get very nervous, and I never do a particularly good job in those situations. So I was worried about screwing it up and someone doing a better job, and
I interviewed once Gillian Jacobs, wonderful actor who also she was one of the stars of Community.
Yeah.
And I asked her about auditioning. And she said to me, I love auditioning.
Really?
And yeah. And now I'll grant you, she's a very good actor, but she
excellent.
said it convincingly. And,
Maybe she was auditioning when she said that.
and she said, what she told me was, I'm an actor and I love acting.
Right.
And auditioning is doing the thing that I love doing, which is
Yeah.
acting.
Yeah.
And I know that it isn't a value judgment because they are either looking for a me or a someone else. And I'm there to find out if they're looking for a me.
Right.
And there's she doesn't have agency in that. It might be either way. So she might as well just act and enjoy the
Yeah.
thing she does and then go home.
Yeah.
How do you feel about auditioning for jobs? Like if you're up for a job like Severance that you really want,
Yeah.
how do you feel?
I never loved it because I always, like, when I was starting out, the only jobs I got was for very nervous people because I was so nervous. I just always felt, I felt like I just can't do, the stakes were too high. And sometimes you're up for a job where if you get it, if this person says yes, then your life is going to completely change and you won't have to worry about, having enough money for rent or whatever. So the stakes were always way too high for me. And, I think if you grow up around show business and it's kind of demystified for you, all of that is a little easier. I grew up here where I thought movies and television were like on another planet, and one day maybe I'll get to touch that. It was just so sort of out of reach and so idealized to me. I loved it so much. It's all I thought about and all I wanted. So when I got there and started like doing it in front of people who could hire me, I was just so freaked out. So that's, I think, usually what precluded me from doing a particularly good job in auditions, but got lucky here and there.
I mean, it's funny because I know I keep bringing up the movie Torque.
You really do. I mean, listen, it's great.
Yeah.
So
Honestly,
I get it.
Honestly, Torque is a really fun movie. But
wait. We saw it one night in a movie theater together, and I was in the front row with a microphone with our friend Doug Benson, and we were talking through the movie, right? Just like...
Yeah, but still it was fun. There's a
Yeah.
part where this turtle, it's the whole thing. It's really fun. But you're a bad guy in Torque. You're not a nervous guy.
Spoiler alert, but yeah, I end up being a bad guy. I don't want to ruin Torque for these people. Sorry, guys.
There's 3 people here who post on r/Severance and 75 who post on r/Torque.
That's right.
Torque, the movie from about 15 or 20 years ago that is a sort of second-rate Fast and the Furious about motorcycles.
21 years ago.
But you were a bad guy in Torque. Your pre-Parks and Recreation most famous thing you were famous for was being an antagonist in Step Brothers.
Yep.
Which you're spectacular at. You have a gift for being a douche nozzle.
Yeah. Yes.
Like in some ways, your career is people discovering that you were capable of seeming nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I don't know why it does seem to. That's true. The Step Brothers thing was kind of felt. I kind of read that and just it felt right. Like I knew exactly. I think it's because I love assholes. Like I love. I don't love assholes. I think assholes are really funny. I love watching them. I love William Atherton in Ghostbusters. We just watched it the other night. We watched it on Halloween, and that's a great villain. And I remember as a kid watching Ghostbusters in Santa Cruz and loving that character. He was such a prick. and just thinking it was really funny. And so I don't know. I just love. I love a-holes in real life. I like them in movies. I just think they're really, really entertaining, particularly when they're overconfident and in reality quite stupid.
When you come back to Santa Cruz, how does it feel to be back?
It's lovely. We rolled into town today and went to Tacos Moreno. Yeah. Oh my God, the best. And I don't know if you noticed because you live here, but there is it smells wonderful. It does, right?
My producer Richard, who had only been here like as a kid to go to the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk, and I were driving around, and he kept saying it smells so good here. The air is good here.
It's true. It's pretty. It's the best, and the people are all nice and don't hiss. No, I love the bagelry. We gotta go to the bagelry. Yeah, I don't know. How often do you get here?
This is the first time I've been here since I did a Jordan Jesse Go show here 7 years ago or something like that.
Okay, we used to get here once or twice a year, I guess, usually. Yeah.
I have one last question for you, which is you are a former professional taffy puller at the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk.
Yeah. Did I hear a wow? It is impressive.
Do you have any insights or knowledge that only a professional taffy puller would have about the taffy pulling process?
Okay, here's the crazy thing, is I was 14. My job was to go down into the basement under the boardwalk, get a 50-pound bag of sugar, get a giant tub of corn syrup, put them on a thing with wheels and push it through into a freight elevator, bring it up, pour the sugar into a pot, put 4 gallons of corn syrup on top of it, cook it over a hot stove till it all liquefied together, put watermelon flavoring in it until it's this kind of dense mass, and then put it on that kind of that machine that everyone goes and looks at. Again, I'm 14, and that thing, you could so easily get your arm caught in the taffy. There was no one around. It was just me doing this.
You had Adam just learn to read.
Right. So I could make taffy right now with my eyes closed, probably. And we just happen to have some corn syrup and some sugar.
Santa Cruz's own Mr. Adam Scott. Thank you, Adam. Adam Scott, I emailed him and said, do you want to do a show in Santa Cruz? He said yes. I just want to mention this show is a benefit for KZSC. I don't know if we'll make any money. Maybe we did. I haven't done the numbers yet, but at least they got Boots' $500, $1,000. I could never have done this show without KZSC. It's a really special place, and I'm so grateful not just for providing me a start. We have volunteers from KZSC here manning the show, and you're very, very lucky to have a special place like KZSC here in a special place like Santa Cruz. So kzsc.org/donate is where you can go if you want to match Boots' $1,000 or even just his $500. That's our show, folks. Thank you to the Kuumbwa Jazz Center for hosting us. Thanks to our guests, Scott Simpson, Glynn Washington, the Mermen, Adam Scott, and Boots Riley. Thanks to our friend Cash Hartzell for helping us out tonight. Our volunteers, Quinty Huang, Sierra Holzer, Ale Plyler, Dylan Estevez, and David Anton Savage representing KZSC. Special thanks to KZSC broadcast advisor Richard Baldwin for helping us promote this show. If you're in attendance tonight, please support KZSC. Our Bullseye producer on site tonight is Richard Roby. He had help back home from Kevin Ferguson, Jesus Ambrosio, David Spear, and Hannah Miraz. I'll be over there signing posters if you'd like to buy a poster and get it signed. Thank you for enjoying this long show, and good night.